What's going on, everyone? I'm Pete, and this is Retro Game Attic. It probably goes without saying, but if you're watching this channel, you're most likely familiar with the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES. It's an iconic console that is largely credited for revitalizing the video game industry following the 1983 crash. It has an extensive library with countless classic games on it, with many of them still holding up today. The system has staying power, to say the least. Many of its games have been re-released on different consoles, or remade, or updated. Some of them off the top of my head include Ducktales, which was remastered for the Xbox 360, PS3, PC, Wii U, and smartphones. The original Metroid was also remade for the Game Boy Advance, and Bionic Commando was remade as Bionic Commando Rearmed for the PS3, 360, phones, PC, and so on. The NES remakes and re-releases all vary in quality, with some being more memorable than others, but there is one in particular that isn't very well known in the US that I really enjoyed. Tingle's Balloon Fight DS. As the name implies, Tingle's Balloon Fight DS is a remake of the NES Balloon Fight game. Balloon Fight is a basic arcade-style game where you take control of a balloon fighter, which is a man that flies around screen via two balloons tethered to his back. Enemies, known as balloon birds, are also flying around screen via their tethered balloons. Your goal is to pop their balloons before they pop yours. You defeat an enemy by landing on their balloons from above. Aside from enemies, there is also lightning that can instantly kill you. The game also features a multiplayer mode and a balloon trip mode, with the goal being to survive by avoiding various obstacles as you stay in flight through an auto-scrolling level. Balloon trip mode is a fun and good way to pad out the game, but I prefer the main game myself. Like I said, Balloon Fight is a pretty basic game. It's essentially Atari's Joust, but with old school Nintendo flair. It is a fun time though, which makes sense why it eventually got a remake. And this remake was titled Tingle's Balloon Fight DS, which was released on the original Nintendo DS in 2007 in Japan only, and it was only available through Club Nintendo as an exclusive item. So it makes sense why this game wouldn't be super well known in the United States. The game features Tingle from the Legend of Zelda series in place of the original balloon fighter. Let me be the first to say that I really don't like Tingle. I get that he's supposed to be whimsical and weird, but there's just something about him that is off-putting to me. Luckily, his persona is way turned down in this game, so it's not distracting or anything. I like the box art. It's literally the artwork from the original game, but with a Tingle cutout taped over where the original balloon fighter would be, and updated branding affixed with scotch tape as well. So here in the box you can see the fake tape, which is a nice touch and shows that the game doesn't really take itself too seriously. Let's pop it in the 2DS and take a closer look. As you can see, just like the original NES game, there is a one-player game mode, a multiplayer mode with 2 more players available than the NES game, and the balloon trip mode. The visuals and sound have been overhauled with nice 2D sprite work, vivid colors, and solid sound design. By 2007 standards, it definitely has sort of a low-budget feel to it, but it's totally acceptable since it was a Club Nintendo item. That can be had with enough points acquired, of course. The levels feature more of a bright color palette with an island atmosphere opposed to the darker, more dreary-looking NES game. Some updated sound effects return from the original game as well, which is a nice touch. The dual screens of the DS make a nice larger-looking vertical playfield as well, and the game doesn't feel cramped on the handheld console. It also plays pretty closely to the original game with similar flying mechanics, and I like that you're still able to do the auto flap by holding down the B button. The original bird enemies also return, but make a pretty annoying chirping noise when they fly around, but I was able to tune it out pretty quickly. The fish is here as well, and it's just as brutal as the original when it eats somebody. And since it is a Tingle game, there are rupees hanging from the balloons that you collect in the bonus levels and in the balloon trip mode. Let's check out a little side-by-side gameplay montage of the original NES game and the DS game. Tingle's Balloon Fight is a pretty faithful remake of the NES original. It replicates the fun, simple, and addictive gameplay while still having its own identity with the inclusion of Tingle and the island atmosphere. It's not a super deep game, but it is a great NES remake with not a ton of notoriety in the US. It's still relatively cheap today to import, which is surprising because retro game prices are just out of control now. And it's even more out of control that now I think of something from 2007 as retro. There are other entries in the Balloon Fight series, such as an arcade game game, a Game Boy game, and a Game & Watch game. And the series itself has made countless cameos in other Nintendo games, with the most notable today being in the Super Smash Bros. Series. But for the sake of this video, I am just focusing on the NES game and the DS game. Tingle's Balloon Fight DS can be imported for around or under $30 complete, which is a solid deal. It definitely deserves a spot among the other top-tier NES Remake games, and it's a cool throwback to when you were able to get physical games through Club Nintendo. If you're thinking about it, I say go for it and you won't be disappointed. Thank you guys so much for checking out Retro Game Attic. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you on the next one. Later.